Hi everyone. So I wanted to make this video to sort of introduce you to the decks that I use, the tarot decks that I use. I'm going to start off with my current favorite one, and it's called the Forager's Daughter, and it is very much unlike the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. In terms of imagery, this deck is very nature focused, and it is, right now it's my favorite one. So here you can see the gilding on the side, and then each of, the backs of the cards are all the same, pretty much. So I'm gonna go through this, a couple of the deck cards, and show you some of them, some of the cards, like, so for example, this deck is unlike the regular Rider-Waite-Smith because it has 5 or 6 extra cards in the major arcana, which is really unique to this deck. And I'll show you a couple of those if I can find them. So the first one that I want to show you that is not part of the original 78 is called Ancestor. Well, not the first, but it's one of. And I love how it almost looks like a crystal ball, and it's just so beautiful. With the skeleton or the skull of, I think it's a bear skull. It's kind of to remind you of old times, I suppose, or of how your ancestors play an important part of who you are today. One that's also a beautiful card, I mean, they're all beautiful, is part of the normal 78 cards is this one. It's the 10 of Pentacles. And there's more bear imagery. I wasn't planned, so I really just love this deck so much. This is the Magician, and it shows like a kind of metamorphosis of tadpoles, how they grow into frogs, and then a beautiful butterfly that grows from a chrysalis. Let's see. This one is the Star, and I love that it's a cardinal that is on top, and little, I think they are crocuses on the bottom. And let me see. The King of Pentacles, I love this one. And each of the court cards has a moon on it. I think that the kings of each suit have the full moon. The queens, I believe, are the waxing gibbous. I'm not sure. And I really, really love the imagery of this deck. So, let me see if I can find another one of the major arcana that is not usually in the typical 78 card deck. And I've pulled a couple before in another reading. Let me see. Anyway, so there's this one. It's called Stillness, and it has a bobcat kind of waiting, and there are 3 white feathers. And if you see at the top, it's number 24. So, Here's another one. It's 26. It's called Ingenuity. So I really, really appreciate how it's just so unique. And this one is 22, Ephemerality, with the moth and the flowers and the crystals underneath it. So that is the Forager's Daughter deck. And I can link the website in the description box below. And let's see what else. Because I bought this directly from the website. I don't like to buy on Etsy unless I know that the artist is an actual seller on Etsy. Let's do my next deck. This one is called Moonlit Garden or Starlit Garden. It didn't come with a guide or anything, which is fine. And to be honest, I did get this one on Etsy. And I know it contradicts what I just said, but this one is very much like the typical Rider-Waite 78 cards. So here are just some of them. This one is the World. And this deck in particular is very celestial. And see, this is the back. But here's the Fool. And I really, really love the imagery of this. The Knight of Cups. I hope that it focuses on the card and not my face. So, I don't actually know who the author of this deck is, but, you know, I like it all the same. And one last card is the Six of Swords. I really do love what this card signifies. And I think the stars are incredibly powerful in the imagery of this deck. So that's that one. But I can get into another kind of rant about how the stars are super important. I really think that the indigenous people of the American Southwest had it right, that, you know, the star people are true and like a real thing. Let's see. Next are some of my more unique decks in terms of imagery. This one is the Forest of Enchantment Tarot by Lunaea Weatherstone. And I love this deck. I don't use it too often, but I do love it. Again, the nature imagery is very beautiful. Here's the book that came with it. It's a full book. It's like pretty thick, so I really like how they go into that. And the what's unique about this deck is that it doesn't necessarily have the, like, it's not called, the suits aren't called the Wands, Pentacles, Cups, or Swords. Instead, they're all renamed. So I believe, let me look just in case, because I forgot. let me see. Yeah, so the wands are spells. The cups are visions. The swords are challenges, and the pentacles are boons. So I'm going to go and look for a spell card. Okay. And each of the cards are named differently. So basically, I can go through it. Like the Fool is the White Heart, the Magician is the Enchanter, and the High Priestess is the Wise Woman, so on and so forth. And so I believe that the knights in this are called the Seekers. So here's the Seeker or Knight of... what did I do? I just forgot. The Seeker of Spells and Knight of Wands. There we go. So you can see that it's very fairy tale like, and let me see if I can find a visions one, because that one is more cups. Let me see. Or the Seeker may be the Page. I'm not entirely sure. This one is the Two of Cups or the Two of Visions. And I just love that this deck is so unique. Next is Swords or Challenges. Let me double check. This one is the Six of Swords or the Six of Challenges. You can see she's trying to, like, you know, hide from those wolves. And then the last one is Pentacles, which are boons. So the Ten of Pentacles would be this, the Ten of Boons. You can see, like, it's a beautiful card. Like all the cards, I love them. And so, yeah, the Seekers, I believe, are knights, and the child or children are pages. And each of the major arcana are sort of renamed unless otherwise noted. So the Devil, for example, is called the Black Shuck. And if you know anything about Celtic folklore, it's otherwise known as like the Grim, which is like an omen of death. I think that's death or the devil. No, that's death. The Black Shuck is death, not the devil. Excuse me. And then, see, this is the Hermit. So some of the names are changed, most of them, and then some are not. So, this one is just, I don't use it too often because it's, again, it's so different to what I'm used to. And I do appreciate that it's very much unlike the regular Rider-Waite Smith. So, let me see. Next up is another deck that is very much unlike Rider-Waite Smith, and that is the Wildwood Tarot by Mark Ryan and John Matthews. And I love this. I love it so much. Let's see. And here is the book that came with it. Again, it's a pretty thick book. And I believe that, okay, so these are also renamed, like the previous deck. I would have to look and see. So the arrows, I believe, are... Hold on one second. I believe the arrows are wands. And I think the bows are swords. Or the other way around. And then there is the suit of vessels, which is the suit of cups. And the suit of stones, which are pentacles. And I love this because this one is the 10 of arrows, so it's instruction. And I love that it has kind of a like a kind of keyword on each of the decks. And this one is unique because this one card is kind of like a cross between the Tower and Judgment, I believe, and it's called the Blasted Oak. I believe it's Judgment. I'm not entirely certain. I do not use this deck too much. This one is the High Priestess, otherwise known as the Seer in this one. And I love the Celtic kind of folklore. Let me see. The King of Cups is a heron. And it's just, you know, this deck is just so amazing. So I really wish I could, well, I do want to use this deck more. It's just not been calling to me recently. So what I like about this one also is that for the not the High Priestess, the Empress, they have the Green Woman, which is very interesting because, again, in Celtic mythology, the Green Woman was pretty much erased after Christianity took hold in the United Kingdom and Ireland. And, you know, we have the Green Man, but not the Green Woman. And then this last one is the Devil, which is, I'm pretty sure is the Devil. It's the Guardian, which is really, really unique in terms of the name of the card and what it's supposed to signify. Let's see. Next, let's do one of my smaller decks. I got this one at a retreat. It's the Gilded Tarot Pocket Mini Edition by Ciro Marchetti. That's the box. And I don't typically use this one so much. But this one is the Hanged Man. If you can see it, if it just, yeah, ever focuses. And this one is, the Chariot. So this is, I believe the person I got this from knows Ciro Marchetti, so she was able to get the small decks for the retreat, for, I think, free, so it's good for her. Next is one deck that I got recently. It's called the Folklore Tarot by Rowan Ortins. And I really like this deck because it draws upon a lot of folklore. So if you've noticed a theme, I am very interested in folklore and mythology. So if you look at the back of this deck, it looks kind of like a black matte finish, but almost like those like things that you sketch on as a kid with like colors underneath, and you sketch out the color with like a wooden pencil or something. It's kind of like that. So, and it kind of shines through too. So this one is the Five of Wands. So you can kind of see like the matte sort of satin background. And just kind of like the shimmery. And I love those symbolism. This is the Page of Pentacles, and I think it's like I forget the creature's name. It's in Chinese folklore. I know it starts with an X. And it's in Fantastic Beasts. So I just think that this is like an incredibly like unique deck. I haven't used it yet. This one is a strength, and it's a griffin. And I love how also the symbols on the major arcana are what each planet, each one is. And I love this one too. It's the Queen of Cups, and she's a mermaid. And you see how like she shimmers? It's just, I love that. And the edges of these are also like a matte black. So you can kind of see, like, yeah. And that's a recent one that I just got. That I haven't really used yet, but you know, at the time I felt drawn to it, so I was just like, hey, why not? Let's get this. And next up is another new one. It's the Fairy Tale Tarot by Lisa Hunt. It's the newer edition of this deck. I believe it was printed in the 90s and then discontinued or out of print, and then it became popular again. So here's the back. It's like a key. I kind of love it. And this one is also very much like fairy tale, obviously. Like the Wildwood, or even the Forest of Enchantment, or even the Folklore. I love folklore. I love fairy tales. I love everything about it. So here is the Hierophant, also known as the Mentor, and it's Puss in Boots, which is a unique kind of take on this deck. There's one card that is like the Pied Piper, and basically he's chasing rats out of the city that he's in. And if I can find it, or when I find it, I will show you, because it is not typically what you would think of. when you see that card, because again, this is not typical of Rider-Waite Smith. I want to make a point that the Rider-Waite Smith deck has 3 names, because I find that Pamela Coleman Smith was excluded because she's a woman, or was a woman. She is no longer alive. Let me see, but I really do want to acknowledge that. So here it is. I think it's the Knight of Wands, and it shows like a cat chasing rats. So kind of like leaving things behind that no longer serve you. And the world is called Happily Ever After, which I love so much. So this is also a relatively new deck, and by relatively I mean within the past 2 weeks. So life's tough, right? Let's do this one next. It's called Phantasma by Paulina Fay, and this was my favorite one for a really long time. It's still one of my favorite ones. I have not used it in a few months or a couple weeks, but I just love her artwork. I'll give you a couple examples of her work. So here's the back of the cards. This one is the star, and I just love her use of color and sort of whimsy, because that really just, I have always loved artwork in tarot. This one is the Empress, and again, it's not typical of Rider-Waite Smith, because, you know, the imagery is just different. I love how artists kind of have taken it and done their own thing with it. And here's the Six of Pentacles, which I really love this one. This is one of my favorite cards for some reason. Here's the Fool. And last but not least, here's the Queen of Cups. And just, you can see the little owls underneath, and I think that's just really cute, and it's a really nice touch. So I think that just, I can't wait to see more of what she does with her decks. I know she has a couple that I have on my list. There's Spirit Song, which is definitely on my list, and a couple of her other ones. So this one is the Star Dreams Tarot, and I bought this one when I went to New Mexico. I was in a town called Madrid, also known as Madrid, and this deck, I've noticed, gives me a little bit of pushback. So sometimes it's difficult for me to interpret some of the cards because they're so very different from what I'm used to. But I'm sure there was a reason why I felt to buy the need to buy this deck. So for example, well, here's the back of it, the back of the cards. And then here's the Empress. You'll see, like, it's beautiful craft work, or beautiful artwork. So here's the Two of Cups, and it's just, it does give me a hard time, because sometimes I do rely on the pictures, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Here's the Chariot, which the artwork is just phenomenal. And I like this deck quite a bit because it's non-gender. And that wasn't what I was going for when I bought the deck, but let it be, right? This one is Judgment, and I really just love these cards. So yeah, I bought this one in New Mexico. I was in a little shop on, I think it was Route 14 in Madrid, New Mexico. And they maybe had a selection of 4 or 5 tarot decks, and I chose this one. Also, I recommend going to Madrid and New Mexico. Santa Fe was beautiful. Also, the spirituality of the place was amazing. Next is Stained Glass Tarot. There's no name on it, but all of the cards are very much in the style of stained glass. So here's Strength. It's kind of like, this card reminds me of Beauty and the Beast a little bit. And here is the back. So Strength. Here's the Star. And it does look like, you know, like Tiffany would have done something like this, like the Tiffany stained glass, not the jewelry, because, you know, I have problems with that. Anyway, that's actually New Mexico. It's where I got this turquoise. It's actually from Cirios, and it was mined probably in the 1920s because the mine is no longer stable anymore, so no one goes there. And there are a couple of people who have claims there, which is really, really unique because, you know, turquoise just forms in New Mexico and the American Southwest naturally. So this one is untreated or unstabilized, meaning that it's a little bit softer and it's not as vibrant as the regular turquoise, but I will digress. So this one is the King of Cups, and I love the stained glass aesthetic. Let's look for, here we go. Here's the Ace of Cups. It's like a dove. And I think it's just a really nice deck. So I have one last deck to show you. Oh, and this one also is beautiful because it's blue. It's my favorite color. I love cobalt and purple, of course, but cobalt wins any day. Oops. And next is my most recent deck. I actually had it delivered today, or it was delivered today. It's by Uusi, and it's called the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot. And if you can look, like, there's the sort of sticker, but I didn't want to open it on this end to preserve the deck. So this deck came in a beautiful bag. And what's unique about this deck is that it has 5 cards that are phases of the moon. But first, here is the back. and it's kind of like golden blue with like flowers. And here's the full moon, and this one is I think it's the waning crescent. And I love it because if you can kind of catch a glimpse, like it's like shimmery on this side. And then here's the new moon. And it's like a matte black moon. And also what's unique about this deck is that there's one extra Major Arcana card. And it's called the Seeker, and it has the infinity symbol. Ooh, pardon me. And I love the artwork. There was no book that came with this, which is fine. Because I would love to see like what the creators made. So there are some words here. It says uusi, Pagan, Otherworlds. 8th printing in a year, I think it's 2016. Artwork hand painted by Linnea. Okay. Yeah, it's basically like the artist's stamp. I love that. I love how they kind of incorporate it into this. So here is the Fool. And the Magician. This artwork is phenomenal. The High Priestess. And I'll show you a couple of the minor arcanas as well. So here is the 6 of Pentacles. Let's see. The Queen of Wands. Here's the Ace of, what is this? Ace of Cups. And then here's the Knight of Swords. So I love the independent artwork of this. I love, not my favorite card, but I love this one and the imagery on it with the swan kind of in chains. The 9 of Swords. It really shows a sense of like being trapped. But I just got this deck today. It was delivered today, and it is incredible. I am always on the lookout for more independent type tarot decks. I really enjoy the artwork. I think that it's very important to support these small independent artists, especially like on Kickstarter or if they're on Etsy, even though I don't really care for Etsy too much. although they have good cross-stitch patterns. So that is my collection of tarot decks, and thank you for watching.